We're gonna get high.
I'll
Pain fumes.
I'll handle all the setup and everything.
You're welcome.
You're
You're doing great.
1 day since we've done this fucking bullshit.
You're doing great.
1 day.
You're doing
It's
so
been
good.
1 day since the last time we recorded. S.
M.
Sue.
Do you think the intros to these sound as chaotic as they are?
All right. I don't know. How chaotic are they?
Like if someone just clicks on it and they're like, all right, what is this? And we're just like, oh, it's a cat. S. Like people are like, what the fuck is
I don't
going
think
on?
it's that chaotic. I don't think its intention is necessarily to be chaotic. It's supposed to just be like a little more natural.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's even more cold than a cold open. We're not even like, we're barely casually having a conversation.
Right. Depending. But like I don't want to script it and be like,
No, I know.
oh, this is what we're going to talk about before we actually start talking.
Right. No, that's fair.
Welcome back to SM Soup, the #1 podcast with soup in the name but not on the brain. I'm Spencer.
And I'm Shelby.
And we're here to take you on a journey through life.
Oh, it's a journey.
A real journey of just diving deep, getting into that soup, getting into the chowder. Ooh.
Dig your fingers in, ladies and gentlemen.
There's some potato. Ooh, but it's nice and
Ooh.
soft potato.
Cooked well.
Ooh. And that's some that little hot sauce I'm tasting. This is a good soup.
It sounds like a good soup.
But you might still, at the end of everything, be asking that, which is the biggest question, which is, waiter, how is this soup made?
Right, precisely. Today we're talking, well, okay, before we get into it, Spencer, it's been a whole 24 hours since we recorded.
Right. Yeah.
What have you been up to?
I don't even think we talked about it last time.
I don't think we
like
did.
What we've been up to, because that was also only like 3 days.
Yeah.
Because we had to like pre-record with the holidays and everything. So I've been up to nothing.
Same.
Nothing. I'm very ready for the holiday travel. We'll hopefully have like a nice little recap of things to talk about on the first episode back.
Yeah, but the next time we're back, like 2 weeks will have passed, almost 3.
Right. I mean, don't expect me to have done a ton. The exciting
lives we've lived, we might have something to say then.
I have something that I can say. I slept for 4 hours 2 days ago.
Right.
But then last night I slept for a hearty 8.
Oh my god!
It was like a hard 8.
Yeah.
Like
you were out.
Like I woke up and I was
borderline unconscious.
I woke up and I was like, I slept hard.
That's good.
But I woke up feeling like amazing.
That's
like
good.
Like when you have like a nice hard sleep. Other than that, I've done very little. I did also have the realization that like when we talk about like the things that we've been watching and stuff, there's plenty of stuff that like I watch that you don't watch. There's stuff that you watch throughout a day that I don't watch. So we have all that to
mostly
also
YouTube.
like.
I don't really watch.
Yeah, but you're still watching stuff, and you still might have something interesting to like present off of that. So something to kind of keep in mind. It's so easy to get caught up in like the one show that we're watching together, but
which we didn't even really talk like because we didn't even talk about something we're currently watching.
Because we weren't really on anything.
Right, but I know it was just funny because we talked about shit we've seen like weeks, if not months ago, and then
it had been a while.
What we were falling asleep to.
It had been a while.
I know, it was just funny.
What about you? What have you been up to?
Literally nothing.
Working on any projects?
I'm painting.
Any job interviews?
So maybe. So this whole room is fumigated at the moment, and we're just sitting in it. No, I'm lying. The door's been open. The window's been open for like hours.
I was gonna say, I don't even smell anything.
I don't either. I'm just making a joke. But anyway, I've been painting, which is interesting because I have not had the motivation to paint for a while. And I packed up most of my stuff because I was literally like, I couldn't look at it anymore. Like, I'm just tired and like don't want to think about it. And I know I'm so close to getting a break from it that I was like getting annoyed even just like seeing it and feeling like I should be doing something. So I packed up like 80% of my stuff just to be like, get out of here. I don't want to look at you. I deserve to not have to look at you and think about it. So but I painted today.
Nice.
And it was good. And I'm like, wow, maybe I will be motivated to paint again someday. It was a breath of light, you know? A breath
Breath
of
of light.
light.
In the week or so, week and a half that we're going to be gone, do you have any plans for projects? Or are you taking a creative break?
I'm gonna try and take a creative break.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, I'll have my iPad with me, so I'll probably end up like doodling. But
Taking down some notes for ideas and stuff like that.
yeah, I I try to not bring too much
I think a good
home when we
reset.
travel. Yeah.
From what I can tell, it feels like you need a reset. So
Yeah, I would say so. I'm probably just gonna read, hang out, eat food. So everything I normally do, minus making things.
cool.
Cool. Are you bringing home your video games?
Yeah.
You don't need a reset?
No, I'll never need a reset from video games. I don't think. I don't think so.
Must be nice.
Yeah, I don't know, but sometimes I get into like this weird in between area of like I'm caught in terms of like choice paralysis.
Yeah.
And so sometimes that can actually like really mess you up. Our friend Brock, he has that pretty bad.
Yeah.
And the only thing that like satiates his like desire to play a video game is if we can find something that we can play together. But he hasn't been able to play like a single player game in like ages. And he's a huge fan of Horizon, right? And that
Right.
came out in February,
Right.
and he hasn't even finished it.
Oh my
And he
god.
loves Horizon,
Right.
but he's just like games aren't doing it for him. He's only been able to like he and I have been playing a ton of GTA.
Right.
He's only been able to do it in that sense. Me, I don't know. I've never gotten that bad, but I don't know. My goal was to take home, to take with me, uh, my Vitas.
Yeah.
That quickly changed to including the Switch because of Pokemon, and I'm going to be staying with my brother for a little bit, and then I'm going to be staying with Brock, and so opportunities to like potentially trade and do raids and stuff like that. So I was like, it would be good to have that with. And then GTA got an update, and so I was like, well, I'm going to be staying with Brock for a little bit, so I might as well take my PS5 too, and I have the case for it. So like honestly, I'm better off just taking it and like using the case so that way I'm not kicking myself now that I've like revamped my Vitas. Even though I'm like I only really need my Vitas to travel anymore.
Right.
Anyway,
It's a whole thing.
so I'm gonna be playing a lot of video games still. Surprise, surprise.
Congratulations. So today we're talking about a specific kind of soup. Or a lot of people don't like this to be called
No,
soup.
no.
So I guess let's start off with the question, is cereal a soup?
If it is, it would be a chowder, right?
Why?
It's milk.
That what makes chowder a chowder?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Anyway, um this
Which
question,
it's one of those things where this is just me being weird. Um Dairy
yeah.
being in certain things really fucks with me. Like things that it like shouldn't be a part of.
Mhm.
Um like more often than not when I think of dairy, I'm like, no, dairy should just be on its own. You know?
Okay.
Or like a complement to like a grain. So like you
Okay.
can put like yogurt with like oats and stuff
Yeah.
and like milk and cereal.
Yeah.
It's when all of a sudden there's like milk. I mean, it's not milk, right? Like it's a different consistency of milk, but
Right.
but I guess what I always go back to is milk.
Right.
So I'm like, when you eat a cheeseburger,
Mhm.
you're eating cheese on a slab of meat.
Right.
But at my core, I'm like, that's like the equivalent of dumping a bottle of milk on to your hamburger, and that's fucking
Uh-huh.
weird.
Yeah.
And
How
so
do you feel about mac and cheese?
mac and cheese is fine.
Okay.
Noodles, that's like, no, like that's not weird. It's really when dairy and meat come together.
Okay.
Because we had a friend in college who was Jewish, and that's like one of the like
Mhm.
dietary things, and she actually like was making an effort to follow it.
Yeah.
And I had never really thought about it until that moment. And I was like, it is honestly kind of weird. Like, it is weird to put them together.
Right.
But I love a cheeseburger.
Right.
That's the only
One
thing,
of my
though, when I
favorite
think about
foods
it.
is cheeseburgers.
But clam chowder, has
Yeah.
like dairy in it. And I'm
It's
like,
a
it's
lot of
kind of
cream.
weird. It's
Yeah.
kind of weird when I start to think about
Just
it.
cream. Well, it's almost like a seafood pasta, but you remove pasta.
It's weird when you find out that a cannoli is ricotta cheese.
Yes.
That's weird to me.
Yes. I don't like cannolis.
I don't either. But I think it's the texture that mostly throws me off. And the fact that I'm like, it's cheese. Ugh. Okay, anyway. Cereal. Not soup.
Cereal. So this question popped up. I don't remember what we were even talking about, but about 2 weeks ago we went, why is it milk and cereal? Remember? We were
Yeah,
like,
I think I
why?
said to you, I was like,
Or I think it was like, was it always milk?
yeah.
Like milk was so
Well, I think
accessible.
I don't think it was like necessarily was it always milk. Like my assumption was that you used to just eat cereal dry. Maybe you put water on it because of
Yeah.
like how dry it was. And so like I was thinking there's this like Family Guy skit or scene where these two cars are driving and the one person's like eating peanut butter and they're like la 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 I love peanut butter, and this other car's driving and they're like la 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 I love chocolate, and they hit head on and they like crash through, and the chocolate gets in the peanut butter and
Mm-hmm.
then they mix, and they're yelling at each other like, you got your chocolate in my peanut butter, you got your peanut butter in my chocolate, and they're like dying as they're fighting, and then somebody comes up, and I think their name is like JP Reese's or something like that, and they like eat it and they're like, this is delicious. And it's like one of those things where it's like, how, like, who made the realization of like chocolate and peanut butter should go together, peanut butter and jelly should go together,
That's so funny because
milk should go in
you
cereal,
just
like,
described the Reese's cup ride at Hershey's Park.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I like the way I think of it is like uh the way I was picturing it
Yeah.
was a man just got done milking the cow.
Yeah.
He's walking in with this huge bucket of milk, and his fucking shithead son left a toy on the ground, his hooping stick,
Right.
and he
Right.
trips on it, and his beautiful wife is sitting there enjoying her bowl of dry cereal,
Oats.
and he falls, and the milk douses it.
Right.
But because they are not ones to waste,
Right.
she, being the strong woman that she is, sucks it up and goes, I'll eat this because I have to.
Right.
And she realized it's delicious, and she created milk and cereal.
Oh my god. You
No, but that's
figured it out.
exactly
You cracked
that's
the code.
exactly how I pictured it. I pictured it as like
Yeah.
somebody tripping,
Yeah.
accidentally spilling milk into their cereal,
Yeah.
eating it, and realizing, because it's weird. It's weird.
It is weird.
Like, it's weird that we're all just like
This is what we do every morning.
conditioned to be like,
Yeah.
milk, cereal.
Right.
You don't do that with anything else.
Well, let me tell you who it helped. Big Milk.
That's true. True. The three people I'm going after: big tech, big pharma, big milk.
Big Milk. Yeah, so I did a bit of a dive, and I will be honest, I did research, but I did more of just like a general timeline. I didn't try to like deep dive in anything too much. At least one thing did say this happened by accident, which is very funny because I do feel like that is most of like how
That's how
tons of food
that's
combinations
how
happen.
100% of
Yeah.
inventions happen. It's an accident. You can't
Yeah.
you can't convince me otherwise. Nobody sets out with the like distinct idea. This isn't 100% true, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Nobody sets out with a distinct idea of like, this is what I want to do, and doesn't accidentally do something in that process
Right.
that creates something else.
No,
That like,
you're right.
come on, that happens constantly.
So
Some people say, I'm going to make a hyperloop that cars can drive in, and in the midst of doing that, they develop the world's biggest traffic jam. You know, biggest fire hazard.
Right.
You know.
Mm-hmm. So, cereal.
Not all inventions are good ones, Shelby.
Cereal is an American invention. So,
USA.
So the internet
USA.
says.
Oh well, of course.
Well,
What's the Bo Burnham joke? White men invented everything
But
except peanut butter.
Yeah. So it is an American invention. And so I was like, which was invented in the 1800s. And so I was like, wait, so what were people eating? Like, was breakfast not a thing? What were people eating before that?
Eggs,
So
bacon,
before cereal,
sausage, grits.
Before cereal, the American breakfast was not all that different from other meals. Middle and upper class Americans would eat eggs, pastries,
Not all
pancakes.
that different from other meals. So you're saying that like
But like it also says they would eat like oysters,
I was gonna
chicken,
say
like
you
just
like
meat if you had leftovers.
for dinner, a typical
Yeah,
American dinner, I would say,
meat and
is
potatoes.
like yeah, like let's just say steak,
Yeah,
a potato of some sort done
yeah,
some way, and a vegetable.
yeah.
And like you're saying that like that's something that they might have just eaten for
Yes,
breakfast.
absolutely.
So that's funny too when you think about it. I mean, I guess we have more knowledge around why like your first meal is technically important and like why it has the name breakfast. Is this all stuff you wanted to talk about?
No, you're good. You're go
Um,
ahead. It will come
because
back up, but
because
you're
what it
good.
literally means is to break fast. Because when you sleep for
Yes.
assuming 8 hours, well, no, you finish eating dinner
Yeah.
and finish eating for the night. Probably like you should 2 to 3 hours before going to bed,
Yeah.
and then you go to bed
Yeah.
for assumed 8 hours. So that's 11 hours. And by the time you eat again, you're probably pushing 12 hours since the last time you ate, which is called fasting.
Right.
And so that's also really funny that we're like so conditioned to do that.
To just
Because
eat.
well no, because we wake up, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like you and I.
Yeah.
Like our bodies are like literally conditioned for this because you and I wake up, we eat breakfast at like let's say 9 or 10.
Yeah.
We're starving by like 2,
Yeah.
which has been 4 hours.
Yeah.
We eat like a little snack. Then we're starving by 5, which is like
Right.
another 3 hours. Then we eat a meal, but it's not necessarily that much more in terms of substance than
No.
what we had for breakfast
Right.
typically. I'll say it's definitely more than lunch because lunch we like
We don't really
snack
lunch.
sometimes.
Yeah.
But then it's not like so we eat at 5. It's not like at 8 o'clock we're starving or 9 o'clock
Right.
or 10 o'clock. It must be because like the
Well, I think
light
it's light. I
and
think
your
it's
body
like
starts to
your
kind of like slow
activity
down.
level. I think
Well, now
it's
hang on a second. My
I'm not
activity
saying I'm
level.
not saying we have crazy activity levels. I'm just saying there's a natural cycle of like, oh, this is when I'm getting stuff done. This is when I'm trying to focus on things. And
Yeah,
then
no,
after dinner, you're like, I'm just really sitting. You're not
it's just
doing
crazy that
anything.
like your body's just like it's like your mind basically switches off like your receptor to knowing you're hungry.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, you don't need to worry about this. We
You're good.
know
You're
you're
good for
good,
a
you're
few more
covered.
hours.
We'll flip this back on when your hunger's down to like 20%,
Yeah.
and then go into the fridge and eat some bacon and eggs.
Yeah. So it's generally understood slash agreed upon that the daily breakfast first thing in the morning concept started once basically during industrialization. You know, workers were moving to cities and everyone for the first time was on a pretty set schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So it just became part of it. You woke up, they probably didn't have lunch, a lot of them, just knowing like the lack of workers' rights that were then at the time. But yeah, so they would eat like first thing and just became normal. And so that's like what created breakfast. And then in the 1800s, so that the ideal creation of breakfast, just eating first thing in the morning, was believed to have started around the 1600s in Europe, like big industrialization over there. 1800s America, breakfast also starts to pick up. But of course, as we said, we love our meat and potatoes and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So breakfast became just as extravagant as a dinner would be. And obviously, again, this is all for middle upper class Americans. This isn't like every person's able to do this. So it started to become like, oh, a dramatic overflow of meat, cakes, pastry. Like you had to have it all first thing in the morning. And all of a sudden, there was a general problem with indigestion across the country. There was literally like people are having health issues because we're eating horrible things first thing in the morning and gorging ourselves now up to 3 times a day. And so cereal was actually created by doctors who saw it as a way to like almost restrict that first meal and like control what people are eating. Thus to like whether help people lose weight, just like not eat as much fatty foods, like whatever it was. So, it started with them trying to improve the diets of their patients specifically, which then became like all of the America, which is what popularized it. So
And now, when we talk about cereal, do
yeah.
we include oatmeal as cereal?
I don't think oatmeal, but it is different. Like, well, I don't know. Granola is
Well,
different than oatmeal, right?
I'm Yes.
Because they use granola a lot as a word.
I'm specifically asking for like when they talk about inventions, like did oatmeal come along before
I'll
cereal?
be honest, I don't know anything about
Because to
oatmeal.
me, in my life, it makes sense that oatmeal would be the thing that came first
Me too.
because old people like oatmeal. That's literally the only rationale I have for it is that like, oh, this just must have been around longer.
I also would think that, but honestly, I don't know.
And it's also like much more basic, but it also could just be that like innovations to cereal
Right.
because of its popularity made more sense.
Right.
Whereas oatmeal, keeping it basic, keeping it simple, like made sense for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do know, and oatmeal didn't come up once in all of this, which is funny. So I'm guessing it's not directly looped in. Um, so I don't know the answer to that
Because I mean,
question.
I consider oatmeal like it would fall under like sometimes people refer to it as like hot cereal, and you get
Right.
like oatmeal, cream of wheat.
Porridge.
I guess grits would be included in that.
Kinda, I guess. I don't know. So in 1863,
Are grits and cream of wheat the same?
I have no idea.
Like is cream of
Um,
wheat just like the overly white way of saying
I don't know.
grits?
I don't know.
I feel like grits is like a southern thing.
Yeah, it's probably like made some specific way that technically differentiates it.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Continue.
Um, James Caleb Jackson, who was a conservative religious vegetarian, really bringing out the names in 1863, created the first cereal from gram flour that was dried and broken into shapes that were so hard they had to be soaked in milk overnight to be edible in the morning. And they were called, I'm going to say
Captain Crunch.
granola. He just called it granola, but it was ULA, not OLA, like how we say it.
I mean, how we spell it.
How we spell it, sorry. And then shortly thereafter, Mr. John Harvey Kellogg, a surgeon in, I think he was like somewhat Midwest. I want to say like Michigan or somewhere kind of random. He made a similar version and named it granola the way we say it, spell it, and that somehow just stuck. So shout out to Jackson there. So this Kellogg, even though Kellogg wasn't the first to make it, Kellogg definitely like took off and was obviously successful. It was him and his brother. They created shortly thereafter a flaked cereal, which they named Corn Flakes. They added sugar to it and they mass marketed these, and they also were the first inbox prize ever was Corn Flakes from Kellogg's.
Wait, they put sugar on cornflakes?
Yeah. So they literally made Frosted Flakes like by 1900s.
But it started out just basic cornflakes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they
And
like
then
almost immediately they were like, "Oh, let's just add sugar to this."
Yeah, let's just
Add sugar to
add
this.
sugar
Which
to
is so
everything.
funny because it started as like a way of eating healthier, but they immediately added sugar to it.
Yeah, but I mean, like, sugar's not always necessarily bad.
No, but you're just adding regardless.
Like, where else would you say you get sugar in your day?
I don't know.
Maybe if you have like juice.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Depends what you eat, I guess.
I mean,
But
there's technically probably sugar in like
a lot of things.
just about everything. But you know what I mean, like
Yeah, I do know what you mean. Just like added sugar.
fruits. If you have a fruit that has sugar,
Yeah, but that's like a natural sugar.
sometimes natural sugar is worse for you.
The more you
I
know.
think. No, I think. I don't actually. I said
saying,
it.
Is that true?
Well, I think like there's a thing where if you
I just always thought added sugar, like excessive added sugars, were like
bad.
the devil. You know. Just so we're all clear, I believe this was the brother who originally created it, the granola. He believed cereal was a positive move for human health, and in addition, it would prevent people from masturbating and desiring sex.
That's the funniest thing about cereal.
Cereal, as we've learned, has the weirdest religious undertones of something I never thought
Yeah.
would be a thing.
But I think like just about everything, because when was this invented?
It was late 1800s, all but early 1900s.
Yeah, and I think like especially during like the early 1900s, there's like a really big wave of like there's a really strong movement in trying to get people to not masturbate. And I think it's because we were talking about this how like generations always view the lower generation, like the generation after them, the same way that the generation before them viewed them.
Yes.
And there was a great Twitter thread. I don't know who posted it, but it was like a thread of all the times.
The new generation's been called lazy.
Yeah.
Basically saying kids these days.
No, it was like a brief history of kids are privileged. Kids these days are privileged and lazy.
Yeah.
In headlines, and it was 2022, and then there was like another one from like 2017.
Yeah.
And then there was like 20 more with the first one being 1893.
Yeah.
It's like literally the ideology has always been there.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just always like passed on. And like somebody was like, well, do you think it's just because as like a greater society we're actually like faltering and like truly becoming weaker constantly? And it's like, no, I think it's because we all turn into fucking like curmudgeon pricks.
Yeah, it's just a way to
who
be
like
angry at other people.
right, who like we got bullied
Yeah.
at home,
Yeah.
and then we went to school and started bullying others. That's all it is.
Or again, or like I brought up last week, it's basically marketing. It's a way to like make you think a certain way and blame someone else for like how something is, or convince you to do or not do something because this person's doing it and you shouldn't agree with that person.
And
like
so,
it's just like it's just
so,
bad
like,
marketing.
Every few generations you have a generation that goes so hard
Yeah.
at the generation below them that, or they react so strongly from what's coming down
Right.
from the top,
Right.
that they're then extra harsh on the way down, and then that's like the new normal for a bit. So what I'm getting at is,
Yeah.
the generation from like the 1860s,
Mm-hmm.
they were like, hey, don't masturbate too much.
Quit your masturbating.
And then the generation, I don't know how often generations happen, but let's just say the generations from the 1890s, they were like, they really took it to heart.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, I have such great respect for my parents,
right,
that they're telling me not to masturbate. I'm going to create something to make sure nobody ever touches themselves ever again. And the way I'm going to do that is cereal. And here's the problem with that. Current day.
Yeah. Cereal's
Sex icons all over cereal. You got Tony the Tiger.
Oh boy.
You've got Lucky the Leprechaun, or whatever his name is. And don't get me started on that gilf, Captain Crunch.
Oh my god. So basically within a few years factories are popping up everywhere.
And who could forget the frog from Smacks?
That's true. For Kellogg specifically. By 1903 there were 100 cereal companies in Kellogg's town of Battle Creek alone, so already cereals taken off. Funny enough, during this time a previous patient of Kellogg's from the hospital named C.W. Post created his own cereal named Grape Nuts, which is just really silly. Sorry, but it's funny. Which was the first popular product to offer a discount coupon. It almost feels like, which I'm guessing all things are like, oh, this was the first to do this was the first to do that, but it really feels like cereal shaped the way we grocery shop. You know what I mean? Like, oh, first in box prize, first discount code. Like, that's so bizarre to me that cereal has the firsts of those that are now just like, I don't buy it unless it's on sale. My kid doesn't want it unless something fun's inside of it. Like, you know what I mean? He went on to creating a similar product to cornflakes called Elijah's Manna, but had to rename it to Post Toasties because of religious groups protesting, which very funny. I found a website that is called MrBreakfast.com that just gives little tidbits on different cereals.
Have you ever been to MrSkin.com?
Nope.
I don't believe you.
On Elijah's Manna, it was Post's first attempt at cornflakes, and the box featured the biblical prophet Elijah kicking back on a rock, whilst a raven shown either cereal plucking from his hand or placing it into his hand. And church groups were outraged that Elijah would have a cereal mascot. It's basically like almost like saying thy name in vain. Like you're kind of like you're not
Elijah?
You're
I
not
don't even know who
honoring.
that is.
I don't know
That's
either.
literally that's a D-list celebrity from the Bible.
But I'm just saying, like, that's what they were saying. They were like, you shouldn't be like, he shouldn't be like
What it
advertising
should
things
have
for
been
you.
was Jesus up on the cross.
Right. Getting a little snacky snack.
And his mouth is like hanging open
Yeah.
because he's dying, and a raven's coming and placing
cereal in his
placing
mouth.
frosted flakes in his mouth.
So the book Serializing America by Scott Bruce and Bill Crawford has a quote from CW Post about his outrage over this. And he said, quote, "Perhaps no one should eat angel food cake, enjoy Adam's ale, live in St. Paul, nor work for Bethlehem Steel. One should have his Adam's apple removed and never again name a child for the good people of the Bible." Man was pissed, but then ultimately he went,
CW.
"Oh no, my sales are hurting," and changed.
He did the same thing as me. He said, "Know thy enemy."
He
He
did.
brushed up.
He did.
He said, "Oh yeah."
Try
Then he
me.
still went to church that Sunday.
Yeah, he definitely did, without a doubt.
He's like, "No, you guys just don't understand the good book." And then
um,
he's the one who actually created the newest version of the Bible.
yeah,
Yeah.
the post version.
Yeah. What was it? It was like the
Post
King
Testament.
King Arthur, King James,
Mhm.
right? And then after that,
Post.
like, because it was like that. It's like the editions of the
Oh,
Bible,
right.
and they all have like different interpretations, which makes it
Mhm.
really confusing to follow because it's
Right.
like, well, no, because it actually said this, but
Right.
you're now just changing what it means to whatever fits your
They
narrative.
wouldn't do that.
And so Post did that.
What?
Yeah. And so he was like, yeah, you guys aren't reading the Post edition of the Bible where you're not allowed to drink Adam's ale.
Right.
No.
Or you have to have your Adam's apple removed. 1910s Quaker Oats Company created basically oats.
Well, there you go. The Quaker Oats, they're oatmeal.
It was, but they marketed it as puffed rice and puffed wheat because it was made with a method of forcing grains to explode under pressure. Basically, they would like just make them burst.
Imagine every like morning needing to use a stick of dynamite to make your. That's what you mean, right? By explode.
Yeah. They marketed these items as a breakthrough in food science, calling them the first food shot from guns, and they marketed it as the eighth wonder of the world. No, it was like they literally acted. I don't like how it was written either because it wasn't said they created it. It wasn't said like they made it. It said they acquired the tools to pressurize like wheat, and I was like, what does this mean? Like, are they just smashing it? Like, it didn't really, it gave weird words. Like, were they literally shooting it out of guns and people were eating gunpowder? Like, probably not, but you know what I mean.
Well, maybe.
But maybe, and that they wanted to market it as the eighth wonder of the world. Puffed rice.
That's another thing that I want to talk about is the wonders of the world
that
and how
a
that
whole
list
nother day
just changes
for everything.
and is like, yeah, we built this building 2 years ago and we kind of want it to be a wonder. So let's make a new list of like American wonders. And it's like, fuck off.
Yeah.
You're not Pompeii. Is Pompeii one of the wonders?
I don't know. Like half of them don't exist anymore. The original ones or something like that. I don't actually know. 1920s.
Stonehenge isn't one. You know that?
1920s.
You know that shit?
You like this?
Stonehenge?
A health clinic.
The aliens? That's right.
1920s.
You give up too easily.
A health clinician accidentally spilled a wheat bran mixture onto a hot stove, which how those things didn't just burn immediately. I guess they did. But they created what soon would be called Wheaties. And it marketed itself with the slogan Breakfast of Champions, which shortly thereafter, Rice Krispies, Snap, Crackle, and Pop would soon become their toughest competitor. All in that time. So there you go. An accidental cereal was Wheaties.
Wheaties, Breakfast of Champions. Did you ever have Wheaties?
I've had like mini Wheats.
Nope, those are not the same.
Then no. Never had Wheaties.
I don't think those are the same.
I do new.
You're talking like Frosted Mini Wheats.
I've had Frosted Mini Wheats.
Okay. Wheaties, they were like the box that always had an athlete on them.
Oh. I can picture it.
For the longest time, like they had like probably Jordan, Griffey, like they always try to have. It's better than any mascot you could come up with.
Sure.
To have a true like
child's hero. Yeah, no, without a doubt. Yeah.
Oh, Tony the Tiger did all of these fictional accolades, but Michael Jordan, he's the GOAT.
Well,
nom nom nom.
When they were created, they didn't even like really have mascots yet. Mascots were a 1950s thing.
No, I get that. I'm
But
just
yes,
saying, like,
they made the move
and
by
Wheaties
like
are still
having
a
like
thing.
people. Yeah, yeah. I get that. Do they still use like athletes and stuff, or do they
Yes,
just? Oh, I don't know. I
that's
thought it was
always been
like
the thing.
okay.
Well, I don't know. Actually, I can't say for a fact
Like
because I
if
haven't
we
seen a
went to
box
a
of
grocery
Wheaties,
store and we saw Wheaties, would there still be an athlete on the
but
box?
I know circa 2006, which was
Mm-hmm.
probably the last time I had Wheaties. Yes, they had
Gotcha.
athletes on it.
Um. Well, here's where the religious backgrounds and beliefs of cereal gets even darker because in the 30s, the Ralston Purina Company introduced a cereal similar to Wheat Chex and it was called the Shredded Ralston. And according to sources, it was intended to feed followers of Ralstonism, a strict racist social movement that included a belief in controlling the minds of others.
There it is. It all comes back to our stupid racist ways.
Yes.
This
So,
fucking country.
just a bit about it. Ralstonism began as the Ralston Health Club, um, which published like the leader's
So is
writings.
it a cult?
Yeah,
I mean, I
yeah.
know like like the line between being a cult and a religion can be mightily blurred.
Right, but no, for sure.
But like most because how you get a religion is it basically it starts as a cult
In a lot of
effectively.
ways, yeah, arguably.
So, and I guess it just grows to a mass appeal that isn't evil
Yeah, I
innately
don't
because
know what
cult is like so
differentiates.
often like again the lines can be blurred.
Yeah,
I know what I'm saying.
yeah. I don't know what differentiates
But
specifically that makes one
because
one and not
they
the
all
other.
start out with like they or I guess
Like,
they
oh, it started with like a
a
leader
cult
and like
starts with a lot of the same bases as a
yes,
religion.
yeah,
And it's like you follow rules and you
right,
follow a way of life and
right,
all this other stuff. But
right.
more often than not, it's all culminating to drinking Kool-Aid together that's going to kill you all while you're wearing Nike trainers and a Nike tracksuit that they then have to take off the market.
There's definitely
Don't know what I
levels.
could be referring
There's
to.
definitely levels of control and levels of yeah, basically different levels of control that probably are what differentiated between the two. Um, So it was a hierarchical organization where members were ranked according to the numbers of degrees they had. And this ranking system was from 0 to 100. And
Degrees?
members advanced 5 degrees at a time. And it basically, these degrees were obtained by reading the writings of the leader and like basically best understanding it. So you were studying his writings to increase your rankings within the group.
Here's what tells you that the people in this group are
Oh, you also had to
stupid.
purchase these degree increments. You had to purchase them because, of course, there's always like some way of funneling
Yeah.
money into it.
Here's how this person, the people running this is how you know they're stupid.
Yeah.
It goes up to 100,
Mm-hmm.
right? The ranking.
Mm-hmm.
You advance 5 at a time.
Yes, and you have to
Why?
buy them, and you have to buy
Why?
them.
Why 5?
I don't know.
Why wouldn't you just go 1 to 20
I don't know
and advance 1 at a
because
time?
it doesn't feel as satisfying, I guess.
It's just stupid. Exactly.
No,
Exactly.
I
That's
know.
what I mean though. Like, oh, wait. You're telling me that I could go from a 0 to a 5 and all I have to do is give you $20? Sounds much better than going from a 1 to a 2.
Ooh,
Stupid
ooh.
idiots, every one of them.
So
If you've ever fallen victim to a cult, I'm sorry.
so not that I have to express how fucking insane and pathetic and idiotic and sad this is that this even existed.
Synonyms.
Yeah. So the beginner of this group, I didn't write his first name, but last name was Edgerly. He saw his followers as the founding members of a new race. Obviously, they were all going to be white, um, and free from impurities, if you will. And he advocated, and I almost don't even want to say this, but he advocated for the castration of all, quote, anti-racial was the word he used, or non-white males at birth so that they couldn't obviously procreate. And his ultimate dream was to build a community of like where they'd all live together. And he even purchased the land. It's in New Jersey. They purchased it, but just never like nothing came of it. And like the land's still to this day, like it's like, yeah, that's where the Ralstons wanted to live and like be together.
It's so funny to me that uh throughout like school, throughout like studying history and stuff, like Hitler is obviously like
Yeah. The one that everyone focuses
the
on.
worst,
Well, right.
the worst human being ever.
Largely
So
because of what
innately
he achieved.
evil.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's true. A lot of it's because he actually followed through on some of his stuff.
Right.
But it's just so fucking wild to realize that like there are so many innately evil people
Yeah.
and like
And
you just
they
gloss over them
find
or
their
they
like
just like they
niches.
accidentally tripped
Yeah.
at one point in life
Yeah.
and that stopped it from
Yeah.
ever happening. It's just so fucking it's scary.
Yeah.
It's so scary cuz like again, there's one guy who succeeded in what he wanted to fucking do for the
Right.
most part.
Right.
Well, no, he still failed, thankfully.
Right.
But you know what I mean?
But he
Like
did a
he
lot
still
of
did a
harm.
lot of
He did a lot of
damage.
harm in
And
the
it's just
way.
so fucking wild that there's so many people who like
Yeah.
were also had that same, especially back then.
Yeah.
Like Walt Disney. Walt Disney was a huge anti-Semite.
Right.
And so it's like it's just so fucking wild. Like and scary to like just
Mm-hmm.
read that like some dude who was trying to make cereal also was like, yeah, and people who don't have the same skin color as me deserve less in life.
Right.
It's just like what the
And
fuck?
he was like, so the cereal is supposed to like feed my people. But like, okay, but then his cereal became widely marketed. And it's like, I tried looking up ads of the box just to see. And obviously, none of them were, at least none I could find. That does not mean they do not exist because literally, I feel like anything used to be able to be published in the paper as long as it was public opinion, you know? Um, so I tried looking and I didn't see anything that was like for Ralston followers, you know? So I'm like, was it able to be separated enough? Like, did not enough people know about it? Like, what was the thing here? Because, like, I literally showed you an ad and it was just like, we're here to, like, feed a family on little. Like, we're here to, like,
What was it? A 1 cup of Ralston
we'll
in
feed
boiling
six
water
people.
will feed
Six
a
people.
family of 6.
Yeah.
1 pound, 1 cup.
Yeah.
Sorry, one
One
cup
cup.
of Ralston. I
Which, yeah,
said to you, I was like, that must be some dense like paste that you're sucking
yeah.
down.
Which that was the other thing. It said boiled in water. Didn't say anything about milk.
Yeah. Well, I mean, oatmeal can be made with water or milk.
That's true. I'm just like for like they literally said cereal started out
That's
with putting it in milk, but that's what I that
right.
threw me off
The
guard.
soaking thing. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that I like often would think about when eating like milk and cereal. If I ever like you have the like thing where it's like your tongue's too big to fit in your mouth,
Yeah.
and then you like can't stop thinking about it, and then eventually you don't think about it ever again
Right.
until you're
Someone says
one
it.
day eating cereal with milk in it, and you go, wait, why do we put milk in this again? I was thinking about this 7 years ago, and I got off track, but I'm back on it.
Right.
Why do we use milk? Because it's like, why don't we use water?
Why don't we use water? Genuinely.
But if you told me right now to go eat some cinnamon toast crunch and put just a cup of water on
I'd
it,
be like, no.
I'd strangle you.
Yeah, I would be really gross. Part of me wants to try it just for the sake of it, but it can't be good.
We could.
I wouldn't try a little bit. I wouldn't do like a full bowl.
No, we can do like our little like Sam
Bush.
Adams
Oh, some
taster
water.
cups.
It just doesn't even sound appealing. Like nothing about it sounds appealing. Okay,
Let's
so
can we try to remember to do that for next time?
yeah, we can try. I can make a note.
We have a box of cornflakes that we can use.
That's true. So the Ralston Purina Company, just so everyone knows, merged with Nestle in 2001. They were a fully functioning company until 2001.
Ralston?
Yes, they were the Ralston Purina Company. Which, just so we know, the cereal that came out that was openly for the followers of Ralstonism came out in 1930. So from 1930 to 2001, they continued to be a company.
I'm telling you, I'm begging listeners and viewers, just go look up, like, think of like the biggest company you can. Go look them up on Wikipedia. See the link to who owns the company, like which parent company owns that company.
Yeah.
Go to that parent company and just look at the fucking stupid web that they have underneath them.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And Nestle's one of them.
Yes, Nestle is one of the worst.
Yes. Yes, which this like was like I was like, of course Nestle owns them. So they merged with Nestle in 2001 to create the Nestle Purina Pet Care Company. So when I literally Googled it and Nestle put out a statement and did say that Ralston is no longer like acknowledged as a company, but like they are like, but we did merge with them
but
and
they
just renamed them.
They are our history.
But they are us.
So all of the evil funding that they've received,
right?
And like,
well, they just changed the name, so it's not the same.
Yeah, all their capital that they had, that is the blood and tears of many.
Right. So in
Sure,
1940,
we have blood money now, but we also just bought this company.
so in
We also
19
bought Nike.
in in 1944, the slogan "Breakfast is the most important meal of the day" became popular to market cereal for General Foods, who was marketing grape nuts, bringing back grape nuts. This was a massive campaign, including grocery stores literally handing out pamphlets about the importance of cereal, and they had tons of radio broadcasts claiming that nutrition experts say it's the most important meal of the day. Literally in 1944 that started.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, during the 1950s, post World War II, cereal consumption soared with the baby boom, and sugar coated became the thing. That's when mascots became huge. Tony the Tiger was created. Tony's really the only one that like really survived out of like the 50s, and we still
Out of like the
obviously,
OGs, yeah.
yeah. Um, 1970s, this is kind of funny, just like because 70s, everyone was just high all the time. 70s was the high era of fruit colored cereal, so the most
Acid trips.
dramatic, yeah, like colors you could see. Coconut, Count Chocula, Fruity Pebbles, etc., all were running rampant.
Count
And of
Count
course,
Chocula
no,
is
but just
not what I think
colored
of.
cereal.
Yeah, but like
Before then, it all would
I'm
have
thinking
been
when you said color,
look like
I was
grain.
thinking like multicolor. So I was thinking Fruit Loops. I was
Yeah, stuff like
thinking
that.
Fruity Pebbles. I was thinking like those. You said Count
Well,
Chocula. I
aren't
was like,
both
that's.
Count Chocula and Fruity Pebbles Post?
I think you're right.
Because they were one of, it was basically Post and Kellogg's were
Well,
like
Fruit
the
Loops
two
is Kellogg.
huge. Oh,
But
that might have been my,
regardless, what I mean
yeah.
is Count Chocula is one color. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure it's
I
just
know,
all
I
like
know.
brown. It's all
I think it
chocolate.
was just like changing the color to be like, and it was this is the time it became almost exclusively advertised to children. Which is funny because also during the 70s, the Federal Trade Commission had to start assessing how children were advertised to because they realized like all these things are now being solely advertised to kids, and it's like not good.
And now we
Like,
have social media.
yeah, seriously,
And so you're constantly being fed advertisements whether you like it or not.
really.
I cut the cord.
1980s,
But I'm still getting served advertisements.
cereals began co-branding, utilizing popular characters such as Donkey Kong, Smurf, Cabbage Patch Kids, etc. Why are you what?
Donkey Kong?
Yeah, he was the big one.
You mean Mario?
Donkey Kong was the big one. I don't know what to tell you.
Technically, the first game was Donkey Kong.
There you go. And in 2000s, which is the only as far up as the history went, because it's kind of been the same ever since, 2000s, people started questioning the labeling and finally wanting to actually know that their food, like what their food is made of. And it started the push of like end processed foods, high sugar usage. And so that's why everything, and I would say it still is labeled whole grain, is labeled like no natural, like all natural for some things if you can, no artificial ingredients. Um, and that's kind of what holds true to today. So, just for reference, I got basically all of that information from New York Times. I did go on Wikipedia just because it's easy, and a website called Priceonomics. And then I did use that other site that was MrBreakfast.com. Um,
And
so yeah,
you're sticking to your guns. You've never been to Mr. Skin.
I've never been. Can't say I've ever been.
Don't believe you.
So yeah, it was a lot, but just so you know, most cereals are based in one, the hope of trying to better the health of America because we had somehow even worse eating like we fixed some things with that, but then made other things worse because now we all have like a sugar dependency. And it was supposed to prevent us from masturbating. So I hope you haven't masturbated today, friends.
No, not November's over.
Yeah.
Back up to 3 times a day.
And it's all rooted in really interesting conservative religious
I
viewpoints.
always knew that, and so I thought it would be fun to
Yeah.
like go down this rabbit hole. And
Also, it was created by vegetarians. Largely vegetarians
yeah,
were the
I
original
can't believe
cereal
there were
makers.
vegetarians back then.
It did make me laugh. It sounded like how like 5 years ago everyone was like, oh, if I even hear someone say they're a vegan, oh my god, it was like reading conservative religious vegetarian felt like as close as you would have gotten to vegan in 1800s. Like it felt, the way they wrote it felt so like annoyed. It was funny, like not making fun of vegans, not making fun of vegetarians, just the way they wrote it sounded like, ugh, if I hear one more conservative religious vegetarian talk to me, I
Yeah,
swear to god. Also funny
crazy.
that the creator of Post was a patient of Kellogg's.
Yeah.
Not
Well, back
anything
then everybody knew everybody, so
You're right.
there was only like 12,
12 people.
15 people in the
Yeah.
world.
And yet, yeah.
Wild.
I feel like I didn't breathe the whole time.
That was great. You did a good job. I was trying to
you.
interject and you kept getting mad at me.
Well, I just looked at the time and was like, this is going to be really long.
No,
so I'm
we're
fine
good.
with the interjections. I just didn't want it to be like we get stuck on one thing for 30 minutes and then I somehow still have 5 bullet points to hit.
I don't like the tone you're taking.
But if we ever want to revisit anything more specifically, we obviously can.
I think we had talked about doing it. I don't think we're going to do it today, but I do think again, maybe this can be like the first thing when we're back. We should do a ranking. We should do a ranking of cereals.
Yeah, that'd be so fun. I would love
fun.
a ranking of cereals. But you're gonna everyone all these rankings, it's so obvious that I don't try a lot of variety. So like I'm gonna be like, I've never had that.
Right. You've never had 8 maids of milking?
I've never had 8 maids of milking. Yeah, my 12 days showed my lack of variety in life.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah.
I think that was great. That was really cool. I think we should look to do more deep dives like that into like things.
Hell yeah.
So if you have any ideas, you listeners, not you, Shelby.
Maybe future, what makes a cult, and if so, what would we make as a cult?
Oh, if we could start our own cult,
could start
the SM cult.
I would love to talk about that. I don't ever want to like go full dive into cults because like there's already
they scare you.
There's a 1,000,005 podcasts that do that and they do it really well. But I love to like skim.
Yeah, but why
talk.
not us?
No, but I'm saying like I won't be like today we're talking unless there was like a soup cult. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop giving it away. We need to figure it out for another time. But
yeah,
I think to like learn about it.
Deep dive into cults would be fun, where we like skim over the various cults, but we like talk about like how because they really had like they had their time in the sun.
They did, and also there's just like I know of a few just like communities that like probably weren't considered cults, but like by today, if we reassess them, would they be considered cults? And I'm thinking of one very specifically that I will probably bring up.
Right, I'm thinking of like year 0 Christianity.
Yeah. For sure, that one. We're gonna pull out the good book.
The good book.
That first-hand account, definitely not taken through word of mouth. Definitely not through generation to generation.
You know what? I don't even think his name was Jesus. I think he had a really basic name, probably like John or Mark or Luke.
You know the popular names of the Middle East.
Never even considered it. In what was it? 600. Muhammad was there,
and Peter.
They
were best buds. Best buds.
Oh, I thought you said best funds.
Oh, best buds.
Regardless, if you guys want us to do a deep dive into something that you find interesting, be it cereal or some other food or like an industry or whatever, let us know in either the comment on YouTube or let us know at our social links down below.
I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah, and I guess today is the deep question of, is cereal soup?
No.
No.
I hope this comes out technically after Christmas, but we're still in the holiday season, so I still hope you either had, are having, and continue to have a nice holiday season. And
at the very least, stay cozy.
Forward, stay cozy, stay safe.
Yes.
Keep it secret. And we look forward to talking to you next week.
Yeah.
Where we're going to eat some cornflakes and water.
Ooh, can't wait.